All right, YouTube, let's get Instagram on and then we'll get started. I think our placement is okay. I got all my drinks. Hello. Welcome, clutter-free family, to the Clarity Hotline. Let's get started. I'm kind of chatty today, and then kind of just like in observer mode, just looking and listening and seeing what's going on. I think because I'm in this echo chamber. Have you heard of that? Like a echo chamber, like when you're thinking of something, you see evidence of it everywhere, or confirmation of what you've been thinking, or basically it's you selective hearing. It's you having selective hearing. You're definitely hearing things that you want to hear, that you're more open to hearing. Maybe you're wondering about something and you're like, okay, is that going to work? Or what's this and that? And you're open to feedback. That's kind of, I think, where I'm at. I'm in this echo chamber of mom advice. And I it not like when I was first a mom and you were just kind of like, okay, tell me everything. What do I do here? I mean, I don't think that ever stops. I think as mothers, we're always going to crave kind of the advice of another mom. What'd you do? How did you do it? And so it's different now. If anything, it's kind of like all the mom advice I can debunk. It's like, what is out there that is just like so wrong, especially when it comes to moms having a business and how they're running the business, and also running their lives, running their households, being a mother, parenting, and how one affects the other. There's not a shortage of advice on that. And some of it just has moms going in way the other direction of peace, joy, and love. It's just more hustle and strife and struggle. And I'm just like, oh, let's take a breath here and realize what we are doing to ourselves. And can we declutter a little bit, declutter some of this advice that we just kind of hop on the bandwagon of, because it's just literally in your face all day every day, and you think like, oh well, they got to know what they're talking about. Says who? Like, says your gut, says like your instinct, says like the peace in your heart. Is that saying like, oh man, this resonates, this is definitely for me to listen to, and it feels easy as I listen to it. I feel like, oh yeah, that is the way, right? um, there's not much of that out there. And I think it's because, the media, we talked last week about how much of what you believe is marketing. And I'm not going to go into it again this time, but it is kind of this media feeding frenzy. It's like, oh, which headline is the best one right now? And that's just the way newspaper always has worked. And that's the advent of the news, is newspaper. And then from there, it's just like, every outlet, every publication, every platform ever has been on this media kick, this media bandwagon to kind of set the ratings and I mean, beat the ranks, like just be top dog in terms of your source for the news. And I think substitute the news for really anything that you want to be known for. You're going to kind of see that, oh, in my particular industry, I've got to climb the ranks to get to the top of my industry, right? And be the number one choice in the marketplace. I think that's more so for products than for services, but because for services, you can really get away with niching, being super specific, hyper specific, about your target audience and what they need and what they want to pay for. With products, you got commodities, you got luxury, you got kind of middle of the road products. And so the content out there, yours and everyone else's, is feeding against that. And I'm going to use the word algorithm, if you think about it, because the algorithm is serving up content in all of that regard. So it's like across the board, it's serving you up content based on the last thing you liked, the last thing you clicked on, the last thing you spent a little more time on. It's clear that you are like open to hearing more about this. And so let's blast it. Let's splash it up all over your explore page. And And then, or your Netflix home screen. I mean, literally everybody who is just super talented and smart is using that. Is using that to their advantage, that kind of intel. I was thinking about it. I'm like, Google, no. So Google has a lot of on us. Facebook has a lot on us, but I'm like, Amazon is probably like the number one platform that has more data on us than like anyone else because it really knows our buying habits. Now, if you're like being tracked across your websites and your browser, then all of those sites are feeding off that information, what's visible to them. But like Amazon, I mean, think about your buying habits. Like, oh yeah, they're definitely buying for a house. Oh, they have kids. Oh, and it's a baby, or oh, it's a teenager. We're looking at keychains for their car. I don't know, but they have a lot of data on us, and that's just one of like many, many companies that has so much data on, and they don't even need to buy it. Like, we're offering it up. We're putting it in. Facebook was really the genius behind, like, we're offering up all this information about ourselves just so that we can find better groups to join, make friends across the internet, find people, create tribes and groups with common themes and common aspirations, and like come on one page and really en enjoy the experience in the social media platform. Yeah, so obviously we all want to have a good time. We all want to enjoy ourselves on the internet, and a lot of that is, who you're in contact with on these sites. So, anyway, let's get to our questions, shall we? Let me say the questions, and then we'll do some breath. We'll ground, we'll center, we'll come to the space, be open for clarity, and then I have a little poll that I want to ask before we get into the questions. But let me tell you what the questions are. So, what's the difference between judgment and justice? How do I reduce my screen time? And is it really all about money? And these are really good questions. I that was ambitious of me to like put three in, and I feel like let's just try to answer them. Let's just do it. Okay. So first things first, big breath in and big breath out. Ah, feels so good. In and out. And as I always say, longer exhale than your inhale so that you really breathe out the tension. You're letting your heart just kind of reset. And the breath is how we stay young. I don't know if anybody has told you yet, like all the anti-aging creams and everything, but the breath is like, oh, if we can hone in on the breath and send it to places where we need it, like, oh, what an anti-aging technique, because the things that get neglected atrophy and decay. And the breath is like bringing awareness and attention to the whole body and to the mind. So I just love it. So big breath in, last one, and exhale. Breathing in, clarity, and out, confusion and chaos and clutter. Okay, so I do have a little a poll that I want to take. So I'm curious of everybody out there, and if you're a mom, let me know. So when you comment your answer, let me know if you're a mom because I'm curious. But I just have a poll on what kinds of questions do you have about time management? I think that's another thing. Like, the echo chamber is loud. Everybody's talking about time management, this and that, and all these productivity hacks, and basically ultimately, to in my opinion, what time management is to get more done in less time, right? But specifically, I think the winners are getting more of the right stuff done in less time. They're focused on like the things that matter, the things that move the needle, the things that make the most impact, the most important things according to your priorities, according to your vision for your life. um, what deserves your time and attention and your energy. I mean, where you're spending your time is where you're spending your attention and your energy, your physical labor, your mental labor, your emotional labor. And so your bandwidth is depleted or used up in one of those ways. in excess, and you're gonna feel depleted, or you're gonna feel burnt out, um, on any level, right? Depending on what you're giving out. And so I'm curious, what questions do you have about time management? And so I'm going to answer those next week. So based on the questions that I get, I'm going to answer, I guess, the hottest ones. I'm going to feed into the media frenzy and answer the hottest time management questions. No, I'm going to try to get to them all, or I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to try to wrap up all the questions in one, because time management is such, like, it is, I think, the way we try to organize ourselves. We look to time management tips, how to organize ourselves, how to organize our minds, how to organize our lives so that it feels less busy, and less chaotic and more organized. And that 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 sense of order is like calming, right? And so we immediately like, oh, I feel pressed for time. And so therefore it is a time problem, when really there's so much underneath that. And I would love to just dissect that with you. So send me your time management questions. Thanks for coming on live, everyone, by the way. Um, and so let's get into the first question. So Janice asks, what's the difference between, I think it's Janice or Janice, what's the difference between judgment and justice? I had to sit with this one, because immediately I was like, oh, there is none. There's no difference. There's no difference between judgment and justice. Judgment underlies what we think is justice. So let's say you're seeking out something like justice for, and this is delicate, right? Because we want justice. We like law enforcement. We like to correct the wrongs of criminals and make them pay for it by sending them to jail and getting them off the street, especially when it's something even worse. And my mind doesn't even like to go there, even though I am a true crime junkie. I know. I don't even like to think about that, but really serious offenses against humanity, it's like, I want justice. And right in this idea of fighting for justice, and that's where I left off. I really was like, if you fight for something, you're judging it. And if we are sentencing someone to something based on what they did, based on the offense, based on what we believe is right versus wrong, and basically what's the statutory limit on something like this versus something like that, misdemeanor versus felony, versus murder versus unimaginable things. It's like we want to place time on it, and you notice on these true crime shows, you always hear the victims' families saying something like, it didn't bring them back. Like, yeah, justice was served, uh, for all intents and purposes, as far as like optics. And I guess getting this man or person, this, I should not even go straight to saying a man. Oh, my judgment, my prejudice is out. Um, this person off the street, right? So we want them just out of our hair. We want to know that we're safe out here because they're in there. And so that's the sense of justice. And that's a separation. And so essentially, you seeking justice is you separating yourself from the person being judged, and therefore you have judgment on the act. So this isn't good or bad. It's just literally like there's no difference. I just can't come up with a difference. So I hope that answered your question. I feel like that is maybe it's a letdown. Maybe you were expecting some like just yes or no question. Just give it to me straight, Yvette. Um, because I didn't, maybe we can flesh this out a little bit more together, because I didn't think really beyond that. I Because I think what I want to acknowledge is, um, the gravity of, or the degree to which something feels so emotionally heavy, uh, when you are seeking justice because of how somebody's wronged you. And there's degrees of how wrong you feel, right? how betrayed you feel, how um, unappreciated, undervalued you feel, how neglected you feel, like, right? Uh, Based on how somebody did this. Like, the victim's family of somebody who died, who was murdered, it really kind of sucks because you think about like they're left without that person and all the potential that person brought their lives and all the joy that they could have had, the memories they could have made. Like it literally stops right there, right? That their life and their experience with this person stops right there. And that's a really sad thing. I mean, we emotionally, I think biologically mourn the loss of things because we are noting the difference of having that person or that thing there and not having that person or thing there anymore. And like, what is life now? What do we do? I mean, I experienced the death of my father last year, and it took me a long time to like find, I guess, uh, find peace that he chose to leave. But then it was like, well, is that what you're finding peace with, or is it um you wish there was more time, you wanted time with him and your kids? Uh and I don't always get emotional, but I think when I think about him, I kind of sometimes do, but I think it's mostly joy and like good memories. But I ultimately know I still have a relationship with him, and I love him dearly, and I still experience him and see him and feel him on a daily basis. On a daily basis, I think I'll I'll talk to him, or I'll get like the slightest like nod of fatherly approval if I'm like searching for it. I'll get that from him, which is really cool. But yeah, I think he and I just we always had like a playful relationship. So I can get away with that kind of thing, and I really do find that he's there. He's there for me. Um it's a really light good feeling and things like that. So when I thought though, it's like, oh, he chose to leave. He chose to kind of give up and be like, no, I'm done. I'm good. I'm gonna go now. Uh that was me judging the decision. Like, who am I to judge when he was ready to go? And if anything, it's like, go, dad. You went before you felt it was too late. Before you experienced more pain and more maybe helplessness and despair and hopelessness, whatever kind of you're feeling, especially facing cancer and the prospects like the doctors tell you, and if you're not girded up in the belief behind like the power of your mind and I can get through this and I don't subscribe to this, then that I believe is really the only way you get through it. If you kind of are resigned to letting it play out kind of in the observed state, the way it feels like it's playing out, um, I don't believe that there's necessarily a lack of faith there, or maybe it's just time. Like, time to go. I'm good. Uh, yeah, I think we I think we judge first ourselves, and then it stems out from there. So I think if we're judging anything, it's to the extent that we feel judged, and we can only feel judged first by ourselves. Because if I can bring back that echo chamber analogy, I believe that when we feel judged, when we're judging ourselves, then we're going to hear the confirmation of that judgment from other people as if it's like, okay, now it's valid and now I have to work on it and it's a problem and I have to make it a thing. I have to get serious about this diet and make sure that I don't hear that comment again from other people. When really turning around that judgment just within yourself and no longer judging it as a problem turns everything around. The echo chamber becomes, wow, I love myself. I look good. I feel good. I am going to live forever. I'm going to look good forever, just to bring back the anti-aging. um, you know, because that's what all the girlies at my age are thinking about. Like, how do we stay looking young? As if it's even a topic of conversation that uh, makes anyone feel good about themselves. Like, I don't know. I don't want to anti age. I want to age having taken my life and all the good memories with me and build on that and like have more experiences and be in this now more enlightened, more aware place and enjoy the rest of my days here. What about that? I mean, what are those conversations? So if you want to have those with me, because like I said, I'm feeling really chatty, so we could talk about it. Um, then yeah, let's have feel good conversations when it comes to aging. I don't know that that is what's normalized enough. I think if anything, yeah, we're just literally so aggressive on how can we reverse the signs of aging, prevent the signs of aging, slow down the signs of aging. And I think it's as simple as breath and presence and awareness to the fact that this is the way it goes, right? This is the body growing and evolving, and we knew from all along that this was going to be kind of the outcome. That you were no longer going to look 20. But I do believe that you won't feel judged if you stop judging yourself. It's a hard pill to swallow, because then that means, wow, that's a lot of self talk I got to clean up. Can no longer talk to myself like that. I can no longer look in the mirror and be like, oh, what's that? What is that? Oh my gosh, I have to go to this spa for and fix that and pay for that. And uh, what is the newfangled tool that will zap this problem away? If I didn't think that way, if I could only turn those things around, then I could see myself as beautiful. And I could tell myself I'm beautiful and I could believe it. I would believe it, right? Imagine that. Imagine no longer talking to yourself negatively about all the mistakes you make in life and how this looks on your body and how you wish this was different and how you can fix that and who can I pay to fix this. Um, but this is what's perpetuated. And yeah, I mean, I think we, into some to some degree, we're falling for the hype. And unless we tune it out, we're hearing it. And if we really rid ourselves of the limiting belief, of the fear, then we would not hear it. We would hear it as we're starting to move away from it and turn the volume down on it. We would still hear it, but actively be turning the volume up of another sound, something more empowering, more soothing, more real. Turning the volume up on that, right? And so that is right. This is like it's a play. I call it the toggle. You're kind of like you're hearing things, and yeah, the volume, literally toggling the volume and trying to kind of find that balance of like, I recognize where I came from. That's part of the work. And then I also recognize where I can go if I can turn this volume up. And I know I can. And it's honestly how far from the norm, from the mainstream thought of the day, this group think, how far away from that are you willing to go? I mean, and it's not only you off the grid. I mean, how many people are off the grid and still on social media and telling everybody about it? I mean, they're not off the grid. They're very much caught up in this rat race of trying to feed the hype. And while feeding the hype, you're falling into the hype. You're part of you're just a cog in the wheel, like you're part of this cycle that feeds on itself. And so sometimes we're not comfortable leaving that familiar cycle, like, that circle that, whoa, I'm in this circle with a lot of people. It feels good to belong. And to move away from this, find my own flow, maybe go against the grain over here and find my own flow, that's going to feel really uncomfortable because, wow, who am I going to lose? Right? What am I going to lose? We mourn the loss of things. We've experienced the difference of us being without it. Uh, right. And so look at how all this stuff is all the same. Uh, and it does boil down to the judgment we feel in and of ourselves, and the judgment we feel for ourselves is the judgment we judge others for. And then because we're judging others, we're feeling as though we're also being judged, because what sort of justice would that be, right? That we've got to balance the scales. So if I'm judging you, I know you're judging me, because that's just the way it works, and that's justice. And we got to level the playing field here. And that kind of idea is very much locked into this rat race, into this competition, into this separation, um, and seeing both as okay and good, and there's a place for it. And I know I said good, and immediately I cringed at the thought of like murder and saying anything like anything other than justice would be okay. Anything other than jail time or life or death penalty. Like I I want my true crime documentaries to end with somebody in jail. You know, I don't like it when they're unsolved. I think it's hard for me to like find to watch anything that's unsolved. Even though back in the day I did watch that show and loved it, Unsolved Mysteries. That was really good. And I think mostly just because it was like a creepy, scary story. It was like, oh, it was just done really well. And so I'm hearing myself and I know that it it feels awful to want to think that, oh, I have to look at this as without judgment. I have to look at what just happened and not judge it. How am I going to do that? Do I want to do that? Do I want to no longer think that this person should go to jail? Do I want to live as though the law is optional? I think it's a question, right? That would come before you choosing no longer to judge. When especially in this justice question, what's the difference between judgment and justice? Um, but I don't know. If something else comes up for me on that, I'll bring it back. But there is none. Okay, so Killian or Gillian, I don't know, um, has a question. How do I reduce my screen time? This was another doozy, and this is why I'm feeling like, oh, I could pack a few because I don't have much to say on them, but I did want to answer them. So thanks for your questions. How do I reduce my screen time? It's so addicting. It's so addicting, the things that we place an importance on. And it's one thing to find enjoyment and to enjoy the scroll and like have that be part of your day because it really brightens your day. But if you're noticing that it doesn't all only brighten your day, sometimes it brings you down. Sometimes it makes you aware of all the things you still have to do. Sometimes it adds to your to-do list. It's so many things social media does. And social media is just literally an amalgamation, an aggregate of life, and it's all boiled into one. It's what everybody's thinking at once. It's all the things that could be going on are right there in your feed, and it just is it's literally a scroll, what, 5 inches away from each other. These news, this headline, um, the next hottest craze, the next trend, the next fad, the next product, hot topic, celebrity goss. Like there, it's just you're literally just you're scrolling through it all. It's all there, And that is life. There's politics, there's financial news, there's not minding your own business, being in the neighbor's business, just everybody's talking about everybody. And that's just life, right? It's just everybody's opinion just splattered right there. And now if you are somebody who is um, externally motivated, so joy, peace, validation comes from the outside in, then that is addictive because you want to be on the other side of uh, canceled. You want to be accepted. You want to fit in. You want to know a thing or two. You want to be able to share this funny post with somebody else that gets it. And it's like you want to laugh and you want to bond over, like, whoa, this shared experience. It's fun. It can be fun because life can be fun. And all of this is happening on a daily basis. So whatever you're tapping into, whatever you're tuning into is you just kind of like see, coming up for air. What's going on, everyone? I haven't been on my phone. So when you want to reduce your screen time, I wonder, what are you doing on your phone? Now, if this were coming from a mom who's like, I want to reduce my screen time because I want to be more present with my kid, like, get me off my phone. Why am I on this thing? Like, I literally spent an hour just scrolling on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, and I am like lost. Like, I don't even know, oh, dinner, what time is it? You know, many moms find themselves in that same boat of like, wow, I'm on this thing too much. A lot of uh, and this is probably, I think, a really frustrating thing for us moms is that a lot of our stuff is on mobile, the mobile apps for our kids' schools, the daycare, um, how to order pictures. You go to an app, and it's like you got to download all these apps just to kind of stay on top of what your kids are doing, not only in your own life, your banking app, your social app, your PayPal, Venmo, like all those financial banking things. What else? How you get your news, your financial market watch news. What else is important? I like to check the moon on a daily basis. So there's like my moon app, like what's the moon in? And then just the camera, like that's your camera. So you're on mobile. And then if you're like one of those people who like upload immediately after taking the picture, you're like, I got to share this. I got to snap this. Then, yeah, I could see why you would want to reduce your screen time. Because yeah, there is a way. There is the removing of your present moment awareness to what's in front of you right now, the people right in the room with you. That you take a departure from the room and you are on this thing. And so instead of enjoying the company you keep and being there with them, you've got to find a distraction on your phone. And even just from yourself, like how many people are just comfortable going to eat dinner in a restaurant and let's like just be real extra. How many people are comfortable dressing up to the nines and going to a restaurant in New York, super swanky place, and where anyone who's anyone is there, and you're going to sit by yourself, get a table by yourself, order by yourself, not get on your phone whatsoever, not have a book, and literally just have dinner with yourself and do all of it. Do the app, do the main course and dessert and a drink, whatever you're drinking, and you're doing all that by yourself. And you're not really trying to engage the wait staff in conversation, like just to make it less awkward for you. No, you're literally enjoying your own company. As comfortable as you are doing that is the degree to which you start to turn the dial. We're in the toggle here, right? Toward getting off your phone and being okay with it and being present to the moment. And also, I think a good thing if you are a mom and you're on your phone, just recognize the times when you either have to carve out that administrative kind of thing, like add to your shopping list. Because my shopping list is literally analog right now because I just do not want to get onto my notes app because so much I get messages. If I see it, it might throw me off. And so I'll forget what I was going to add to my shopping list. And then therefore I don't get it the next time I go to Vaughn's. And then I'm back home like, oh shoot, I forgot that because I didn't follow through, follow the wavelength of thought and the stream of consciousness that wanted to help make my life easier. I'm distracted by everyone else's agenda trying to get at me and pull me into their world. What do you want from me and how can I be available? It's like I've got to kind of carve that time out because I don't personally want to be on my phone with my kids so much, especially at a park. I really don't, unless I'm taking a phone call and I can watch and look and still engage with them if they ask me something, and this person who's on the phone with me doesn't mind that I'm kind of in and out, and versus like being scrolling on my phone. I don't like to really take my eyes off the situation. I just want to, yeah, I really want to be present to it because this is my motherhood journey too. Like I don't choose to get distracted from it. I choose to be very present with it because I want to see what's going on. I want to see the interaction with my kids, with each other, with themselves. Like what do they like to do? And this is all part of how I inform my maternal instincts. It's how I inform myself as to like what makes my kids light up, and it's the simple things, right? And I want to always be reminded of the simple things that, well, look, they're so happy playing on a slide and playing in dirt and having and going checking out their bike, being on their scooter, and just looking around and stuff like that. So it's the little things, it's the small things that like um, are simply fulfilled that I want to just not lose sight of. And so, no, I don't love being on my phone uh, when my kids are around because then, yeah, I'm maybe missing an opportunity to engage with them, pull out a conversation from them that I'm interested in, or something that I'm working on with them. Like if I'm trying to break through some kind of barrier with what they're thinking, and I want to give it time to be fleshed out within their own minds and processed. And so the minute sometimes, and I'll this is an actual experience where my son would say little things about like why he didn't like his last school, which is the school we pulled him out of. I would hear because I wanted to know what in your mind is why you didn't want to go, because I want to understand from your POV what happened. And so I'd hear little things. Sometimes he'd answer me, not immediately, but sometimes he would eventually answer that question. Why why didn't you like it? Or what happened? Or, any kind of my prompts to try to like open him up to the idea of like, okay, how can I? And I understand not everyone can articulate everything, especially our young peeps. Like they don't necessarily have all the words. So you really do want to be available for when they do have the words, or start to like pick up on, okay, I know what you're saying right now. That's important to me. That's important to me because this is the building of my bond with them. And the more I am honest and open with them about like, oh, this is what I was feeling when that happened, and then they will like learn to use that same uh, expression. Like, okay, I know when to place this because I heard mom say it, and uh, I trust her. I mean, they definitely learn from us because they trust us, and it starts there. And yeah, they're going to go off that, right? That's going to be the starting point for who they trust from here on out, or um, what they believe to be true, what feels like home, right, is really what you're helping instill in them, or paint for them, I guess. I don't know what word I want to use. I think we are establishing like what that looks and feels like with them, along with them, not telling them. I'm not talking at them or telling them what to do. Instead, I might use what I do as an example. So I mean, as little as I can. I don't want to be telling them what to do. I really want to help them, thrive and grow into themselves and fully express themselves because they're different than me. And they're a product of two different people, right? If you think about it, and that's generational lineage in this one person, and that's two different people who make then this third person, who's a combination of you both with all your generational trauma, baggage, all wrapped up into one. And so, as you process and work through your own baggage and clear it out of the way, then they can kind of witness that and do the same for themselves. And this is a lifelong process. This is a lifetime of work for everyone involved. Your kids too. They're gonna continue to go through it, and the cycle will continue on how they kind of come to terms with who they are and how they want to express themselves and what feels good to them and things like that. And so this is where I went to when the question was, how do I reduce my screen time? How do I reduce my screen time? I feel like I answered it because I feel like I answered it because screen time is just another distraction. And screen time on your phone is one thing, screen time on the TV is another. Uh, being on the phone, talking to somebody is another form of that, right? FaceTime or not. And what is it distracting you from? What, while doing this thing, has you feeling some sense of order? Like there's some sense of uh, place in the world for this in your life. So how you're using your phone has a place in your life. How you've chosen to use your phone and have screen time and be on your screens is serving you in some way. How is it doing that? So if you looked at that and say, well, it's serving me to, yeah, distract myself from my job. I'm doing it to fill my time or uh, because I don't want to do this other thing that I have to do because it's going to take too much mental bandwidth to do that. So I'd rather just do this mindless thing, which it's not very mindless. Screen time is not mindless. It's very influential. And when you are craving the scroll, then you're the most impressionable. I think you're open to be distracted. You're open to be pulled into somebody else's life, and so that you can maybe escape your own. And I know that sounds intense and like, whoa, I don't do that. But maybe you do on some level. Maybe there is some truth to that. And you can kind of find how, if it is true, how and where, you know, um, because screen time is a habit. And in order to revise, maybe break up with old habits and start adopting some new, light, healthier habits, then it takes work, right? But that work doesn't happen. The behavior of changing that habit doesn't happen until it's a belief that this is the habit to change. It sounds like you believe this is a habit that you want to change, and for what reason. So you almost have to get behind the idea of changing your habits of going on screens and being on screens, for whatever reason. You've got to get behind the idea that, well, what feels better? And feeling what feels better is, yeah, if my kids are with me, because I have time without them, where they're safe and sound and under really good care of other vigilant adults and safe spaces. I get good vibes. I know that, okay, we're in a good place. So I know I have time to myself where I'm rested easy about how they're doing so that I can focus on something else. I've got that time. And before, when I was a new mom, I didn't have a lot of it, but sure, if I needed me time, I could give the baby to my husband. I could give the baby to the nanny. I could give the baby to my mom. Uh, or the baby was napping and I had a few seconds, you know. Um, and so how we're using our time is so important when we think about that, because if I'm attuned to what I really need right now, what's most important, then I could decide that, okay, what's most important in these few little minutes I have free is to close my eyes and just rest. Um, I learned quickly early on that I don't want to scroll because of the way that it changes my mood, my energy. It can hijack like my day or my thoughts about a thing and therefore my day, because then I'm like obsessing over this on loop, this idea that has me pulling from what my kids need from me, because then I'm kind of like, oh, I'm in my head about something and I'm not present with my heart in this space with my babies. And I know I talked some months ago on the hotline about how when you scroll, yeah, you are changing your energy, like your molecular structure, you're changing with the scroll, your breath is changing, and that baby is feeding off your heartbeat and your breath, right? Those two are aligned very much. And if I'm feeling stressed, your heart has a different beat to it. The pacing, right, is rapid, and a baby's not going to fall asleep to a rapid heartbeat. That's not soothing. And so the more you can calm yourself, and if that means, yeah, not scrolling and just staring off into the distance and resting yourself, coming to a soft um, a soft place in your heart, then that baby is going to feel that. And then their rhythm matches yours. It syncs to your heartbeat, and then they can fall asleep or just soothe themselves or feel comforted after a fall, um, or a tussle with their sibling. And yeah, and come like, whew, okay, I'm back to myself. Okay, what what now? Depending on how you handle that, you know, you can make it mean something about you, or you can recognize its place as, oh, that was not comfortable feeling that kind of stress, or that wasn't comfortable having that happen to me. And so I don't want that to happen again, right? You kind of recognize, okay, well, and see how this is starting to build a personality in that baby, in that human. And then it goes from there. And because I recognized that, I was just, I didn't want to be on my phone, especially while nursing my babies. I didn't want to be on my phone and scroll on the phone. If anything, I probably watched a lot of TV. Probably watched a lot of TV, a lot of comedy. I liked the uplifting like emotion that came with watching comedies, or like home renovation shows, like, because you're making a home, and that totally served us when before we bought our home, because I think we had kind of that buyer perspective because we were watching all these home renovation shows, and kind of what was a problem for this family because it had this in the house, and so they knocked down this wall and they opened it up, and this kind of, just it fed into like our home search, and then we found our dream home, and it was just all good. It was cool, like it lined up, right? And so I'm sensitive to that. I'm sensitive to, like, I recognize that what I listen to, what I feed myself, influences what I believe I can manifest, what I believe I can make possible. It either helps my ability to create my own reality, or it hinders my ability to create the reality that I prefer, because we're always creating our own reality. We're always manifesting in any moment. And if I'm starting to feel down or whatever, or maybe like I'm just like, oh, I'm tired, right? And so don't make decisions tired. What is it? HALT, HALT. Don't make decisions when you're hungry, angry. What's L? Or tired. I don't know what L is. Maybe you guys can help me out. Anyway, and that's for a reason, because when you're tired, it's like you're so susceptible to the quick fix, or an idea that doesn't really resonate, or something that's really derailing, takes you off your path, well, I recognize that. And so I probably want to watch a true crime if I'm in that state. I'm tired, and this is what I usually like to do because I like suspense, and I like knowing that it gets solved, the case gets solved. I like to see how that all works. Um, I like justice being served. So I like that, right? That story. And so, yeah, but this I also know about myself. I watch too much true crime and I'm going to feel it. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to feel like this dampened mood. And therefore, what manifests from that dampened mood is more dampened moods, like more rainfall, more thunder and lightning and doom and gloom, and then I'm gonna definitely spend a little bit more time on the things that match my vibration on social media. So the scroll becomes doom and gloom. And so yeah, there's your doom scrolling. That is how that happens, because whatever mood you're in, it's gonna match it. Um, and same if you're like shopping, then you're gonna get fed a lot of ads. You're gonna get fed a lot of people selling their stuff. You're gonna get fed a lot of, yeah, just like cool things, and oh, look what I'm doing, and all these people modeling their new stuff. And you're just gonna, and then you're shopping, you're doing that. And that's like, okay, the algorithm's like, okay, yeah, so she's a shopper. Let's give her more of that until you change it. And then the algorithm's like, oh, she's on a new kick. Okay, it's a new week. Let's feed up something else to her. And it's just this game. It's just this game, and just like, as moody as that sounds, is as real as it is. It's literally one mood from the next, and so we can affect our mood, um, as much as our mood affects us and what we do and how we see the world and all of that. So I would say get behind this idea that you want to reduce your screen time because, and then all the things that you'd be freed up to do with less screen time, because you're not no longer on your phone watching TV or on phone calls all day. Like you're in your life. You're living your life. Maybe you'll garden. And so instead of scrolling, I'm going to go garden, or I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to get outside. I'm going to breathe fresh air. I'm going to get the sun on my face. I'm going to get out of this desk. Instead of doing that, instead of first thing when I roll over and I wake up getting on my phone, I don't do that. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to lay in bed. For me, my youngest loves to crawl into bed with me, so he and I get to cuddle as my first thing, unless I've already been up, which is more likely the case. I've already been up. I've meditated, or I've laid and just kind of like, okay, today, what's on the old agenda today? And I'm walking through my day, and in a way, I get into the state change, ready for the day. And so, by giving myself the time to occupy a state of mind that makes it so that I can enter a room with ease and peace and joy, and be what I want to see in the world, what I want to see in my kids, how I want my kids to see me, then I know that I can be that, because I'm walking myself through the day. Okay, we're going to have a nice, lovely morning breakfast. We're going to get ready with ease and put on our clothes and brush our teeth, and you know walk downstairs, and everything will be easy. We'll get on the road, and no, there will be no traffic, and we're enjoying the drive to school, and drop off is easy. And then I start my day and I do my calls, and all this stuff is just flowing in and out. And as I'm walking myself through my day, I'm seeing myself enter each situation the way I want to enter it. And then that makes it easier, because I've literally predicted the future, to then walk into each situation as though I'm ready for this. And no surprises here. Like I'm calm, cool, collected. I can be present to my life. And so that is the idea, that you want to, like, okay, well, I want to reduce my screen time. I don't want to get on my phone because I want to experience all this. I don't want to wake up and have somebody else telling me how to feel because I hopped onto social media, or I went into my email as first thing in my day, and how that sets up not only the pace of your day, like, oh, it's urgent and there's no time, everybody wants something from me. It quickly gets out of hand versus something that's like, oh, I didn't go on. I didn't pick up my phone. And there is a slowness. There's a slow start to the day, and then the rise and the ebb of and flow of my day feels more natural, feels more um, like I set it up that way. I set myself up for success. and yeah, so that's what I would say, Killian. Thanks for the question. I hope that answered your question. So it turns out we didn't have enough time to go into this third question. Is it really about money? So I'm gonna answer that question next week. But still, I also want to go into time management. So if you have a question about time management, comment, let me know what question about time and management and managing your time and your schedule and all the things that have to get done. How do you get it all done in 24 hours and not feel so run down at the end of the day? I'd love to hear those kinds of questions because I want to answer those next week. And that would be lovely. So tell me everything, ask me anything, and I will try to answer them all next week. And then I will get to this question: is it really about money? Because I think that was actually a really deep question. Immediately, I think, okay, rat race. How do we get out of the rat race? Okay. Did you follow that with me? Did you follow that through line with me? Thanks for coming on live. I'll see you next week. clarityhotline.com to submit your question. You can actually submit any question on there too. You don't have to just comment, but you can also email me if you're on my email list, reply to one of my emails and just send me a question. Hey, this is for the Clarity Hotline. I'll get it that way too. Somehow, some way it will get into my Clarity Hotline queue and I will answer those questions. clarityhotline.com. And then what else did I want to tell you? Anywho, if you are following up on the masterclass from Tuesday and you want to talk to me privately, get clarity on your life and your mompreneur journey, we could talk about that. I'll put that link below as well. If you are looking to start your business and you want to work with me in the mastermind, start your business as a mom or scale your business or just make more money in your business as a mom without stressing yourself out trying to do it all, then we can talk about that too. I'll put that's the same link. You got to apply to book a call with me. And then while we're on a call, if you're interested in talking about the mastermind, either way, we can talk about it. And I think that's it. Join me next week every Thursday right here, 12 p.m. Pacific time for the Clarity Hotline. Thanks. Peace. Okay, so Instagram is off and it's after hours for us over here on YouTube. I already said all this stuff I needed to say, which means, should I go into the question about money? No, right? Because no, we want to save it for next week and have a whole hour to talk about money and time. And I think how much of this, if I'm going to talk about money, how much of like our pursuit of money is literally the like the quest, a chase for validity and significance and being seen in the world, right? So there's that endeavor as part of like us creating money, because with more money comes more opportunity to see and be seen. Okay, money. So I get it. That kind of currency, that exchange is a transaction that can increase your status because I can buy into higher circles, more luxurious places, have more adventurous things happen in my life, and literally not stress about it because I can afford it. There's that. And then there's like, well, what's the underlying feeling that you want? You just want peace. You want freedom. You want to be free from the constraints of time because you're not doing it all yourself. You're hiring things out, which means more money, right? I think this is where the more money, more problems to come, because it's like when you start to hire more people to help you out, then some challenges ensue. And so you kind of like, you're kind of managing your contractors, the people who are doing work for you or your team in your business. And you're managing that, right? Because then they kind of come to you with problems and you're like the end all be all. So they need to get your sign off. And then you start to like, okay, I clearly need a project manager or a business manager because I can't field these questions anymore. Like this is no. I had one mentor say she's a 9-inch putt. Like she's who you call when you're just like trying to get that. You just need to get the putt in the hole. Like she's not going to teach you how to drive the ball long. Like she's going to get you to your goal, like in the fastest way. And I feel like the same. I feel like the same because what I want to do is rid the clutter, rid the chaos, the confusion that really does keep us stuck or gets in our way, clouds the path ahead because we're like, well, what am I doing? Where am I? I feel so lost. How does this all make sense? Because you're not recognizing the residual of what you've already manifested into your life. And so you're either accepting, like, okay, well, I can change it from here, or you are accepting it as fate. And oh, well, this is just the cards I'm dealt. And so just got to stay here and suck it up. Okay, well, that's two options that you can decide on. How, what did I want? What was I saying? What was I saying here about that? Money, time. Oh, yeah. Okay. Because I think ultimately what we want is time and money freedom. Okay. Because we want freedom to uh, come and go as we please, do what we want, with who we want, with whom we want, where we want, for however long we want. I mean, that's my personal goal. That to me is freedom in this planet, in this human body, having this human experience. That is what that equates to. So that's like the egoic endeavor to have time and money freedom. But ultimately, what aligns that with the goal of the spirit, right, the soul, having this experience is like to advance consciousness, to experience enlightenment, and to have the feeling of fearlessness. And that is freedom, right? That is the ultimate freedom while we're in this human body, because that's what we feel all day, every day in heaven, you know? And so can we have that now? Can we create heaven on earth? And I say, yes. Yes, we can. Does anybody have any questions? Because I don't know if this after hours is going to go on as long as some other after hours have gone on, because I will say that I feel like I don't want to answer these questions or go into it. And I honestly feel like I answered the questions to the best of my ability. I don't really have anything sneaky or otherwise to kind of reveal to my YouTube only audience, even though I love giving a YouTube exclusive, let me tell you. But yeah, just like, yeah, I don't know. We can treat these after hours, like when we get off Instagram and we're just YouTube. We can talk and chat and build this out a little bit more and have you ask questions. But it's something still in the making. It's something still to evolve. It's just like something that felt fun because I do love you too. I do. I do. My people are here. Yeah. Anywho. All right. Well, that's a wrap. We'll see you next week. Go enjoy the rest of your day. Have an amazing weekend. If today's the end of your week, what a beautiful thing. It feels like that for me always on a Thursday. Um, and that's, as a mom, there are no weekends. But like the feeling of having the week slow down it feels like that on a Thursday, to where Friday does feel full of possibility. Not to say I'm not working, but on Fridays, I'm able to do a little bit more like personal stuff and admin and, you know, ease into things that are maybe I have had to not do all week, or it just weren't. It's not as urgent to do it during the week. Like that's got to wait. Then I feel like, oh, And that's really how weekends feel. It's like, "Ooh, I get to do all the personal things," especially if you work a 9 to 5, you're in corporate life, then it's like, "Oh, the weekend." Nobody wants to live for the weekend, but it all feels like, just one big blah of time that you have to manage as a mom, for sure. And I'm speaking from my own experience. And I'm not saying, I think it's probably for anybody who's, yeah, just this is the time management stuff I'm talking about. We're all managing the hours in a day because we want to sleep, we want to eat, we want to do other things. And so you have to make time for them. We've got our non negotiables in our calendar. And so we're making time for that, making sure nothing gets in the way of us doing this thing. And then that means it leaves, the other hours for all the other stuff. And then you're trying to fit it all in. And then you've got this to do list and you're weighing okay, what goes here, what goes there. But there is a sense of freedom when you know, like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do today. This feels good to do today. This is I feel inspired to do this today, and I'm just going to go with that. There is a flow to that, and I do feel there's a momentum at your back, like the universe is pushing you forward and everything else will fit in. You would be surprised how when you're in the flow of your life and you're doing the most important things in life and business, and you are responding to what inspires you, you're taking the high vibe path of like um, staying empowered, knowing that you with your thoughts create things and can ultimately manifest this dream life that you've always wanted. When you kind of tap into that and there's that flow, then everything gets done. And there are so many times when things get done and you didn't ask for them to get done. And somebody just was like, I thought I saw you needed to mow your lawn, so I did it for you. And honestly, you can even write that up in your script for your movie. Like, okay, I think I'm going to have somebody show up today and they're just going to be a landscaper. They're going to leave their card. I'm going to call them up and they're going to mow my lawn. And yeah, it's going to be perfect. They're going to be great. They're going to do an amazing job. I'm going to love them. They're going to be reliable and on time all the time every week. I can manifest that. I can write that in. But see how clear I was on exactly kind of what I wanted? Not just a gardener, not just somebody that I see off the street, like the one for my place. You can get that specific and have it come true. Whoa, to think like you can make a wish and it can come true. How lovely to think. But anyway, if you have a question, clarityhotline.com to submit for the time management questions, because I got to feel up my ideas with what you guys want to know about when it comes to time and managing your time. And then also we'll go into our money question next week too. Thanks for coming on, guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you. Peace.